Hey everyone, it's me, Mr. Morrow. I am here on a Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Today, so if you've been following me on social media, and everyone should follow me on social media because I do love posting. Oh, the Rock Cold Taker, thank you so much for the follow. Hi, how are you, by the way? Welcome to the stream. You don't have to say hi immediately, just acknowledging your presence. If you like retro gaming content, I am a retro gaming enthusiast who loves to play retro video games on authentic hardware whenever possible. It doesn't necessarily mean original hardware. However, just for an example, I'm currently doing stuff with the Super GameBoy. And the reason I'm doing that is if you follow me on social media, and everyone should follow me on social media, but you can find me everywhere. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on Threads, Instagram, everywhere you can think of. I'm probably there. And these last 2 weeks, what I've done is I've had a lot of fun with taking a digital picture of a video game and an analog picture of a video game, as sharp as possible for both, and putting it up online and asking you, can you tell the difference between a digital picture and an analog picture? And so far, the community itself is 0 for 2 when it comes to picking these things out. Both times I put up a picture of an analog game, and as close a picture as possible to the same thing in digital, and people have not been able to get the correct picture for that. So that's been really interesting. But yeah, the Rock Cold Taker, how are you tonight? If you wanna say hello, if you wanna keep doing that, I'm doing pretty well myself, and pretty excited to get going. So the reason I'm doing Super Game Boy today is that I want to alternate between a Super Nintendo, a PlayStation, Super Game Boy, and a PSP game. And that's because I have analog and digital methods for playing all of those games. The Super Game Boy I can play on authentic hardware, as you can see right there. And I can also play it on my analog pocket. So that's where the digital picture is going to be. And the PS1, I have a PS2 that I like to take pictures of, and I also have my PlayStation TV, which is going to be the digital source for that. Now, they are, hey Misery, how are you? Thank you for the hype. I'm glad you're here. How's your Tuesday going? Is anyone having tacos today for Taco Tuesday? I'm not having tacos myself, but that's okay. I'm not actually that hungry, fortunately. We're playing, so yeah, I'm also calling this I'm also going to end up calling this do you pronounce it, Misery, do you pronounce it gyro or do you pronounce it gyro? Inquiring minds must know. So what I'm doing is I'm also going to call times like these where I'm just sort of doing something quick. Sorry. Late night Moro. Hi, Crit. So yeah, like just to be able to use up some time instead of just doing this off stream, I think I am going to, instead of using the time off stream to take these pictures, I'm just going to go ahead and use some time on stream to do stuff like this, because I think it's a good thing for people to see how it is that I take these pictures. So the idea is I am going to use my RetroTINK 4K to take these pictures, and in the meantime, we can, if you guys want to know anything about the RetroTINKs, or if you are curious about any RetroTINK features, tell your friends that I do this every once in a while. We'll call this RetroTINK office hours. And we'll go over some features, but really just how to get started with a few things. If you look at my YouTube, which I went ahead and showed you guys off with the socials command. Let me do that one more time. You'll find my YouTube channel. On my YouTube channel are all the videos necessary, not all the videos, many of the videos necessary for getting a really sharp picture out of the RetroTINK 4K, using anything from a Super Nintendo all the way to, I don't want to say a PS3, because the PS3 is just sort of plug and play, but pretty much anything you can think of that is a popular console is something that is has instructions for it, and I want to finish putting up videos for as many of my consoles as possible. So yeah, that is that. Critter, Critbound, welcome by the way. Let me see, do I have an automatic button for you? Not yet. Let me do this. Everyone, Crit is a great friend. I need to fix that. There you go. Crit is a great friend who is currently playing Final Fantasy Tactics and other games as other retro games as well. What's sound? Oh, this is currently my music playing, and I really need to turn. Like I have, yeah, it's music. Let me put on the next track. All right. Sorry about that. So the music that I'm playing is actually from an in real life friend of mine. His name is Ricardo, and he is known on the internet as Ricky Brugal. And he has let me take his music to play on my stream. I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit more though. Like just there. Yeah, sorry about that. So he does chiptune music. He does a lot of chiptune music, but a lot of the stuff that he puts up on Spotify is a bunch of other music, and he lets me use that without, he lets me use that, especially because I paid to buy his music. So definitely check him out. I should put him on. I should make a command for that just to plug Ricardo, because he's very cool. He does a lot of cool work, and on the side he makes music. So I love playing his music specifically for the fact that when I play his music on stream, he gets a little bit of a kickback just from me playing it on Spotify. It's great. So yeah, if you guys have any questions regarding the RetroTINK 4K, I am more than happy to answer them. And if it's possible for me to show you the answer to your question, I'll try to abide. But for now, what I'm going to do is this is currently playing on my Super GameBoy, what you're looking at right here. And I'm going to show you guys the process for getting the sharpest possible picture for the Super GameBoy, and then take a couple screenshots, play very, very little of a couple of games. And if you have I want to say if you have a very popular game that you like to play for Game Boy, let me know, and I'll see if I can take a screenshot of that. Okay? I know that I'm definitely going to start with Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, because that is probably, I want to say that is the most Game Boy game that you could probably play besides Pokemon. If Pokemon is number one for sure, because everyone plays Pokemon, but then I would say Donkey Kong is definitely a close fifth, because Pokemon is 5 games that you can play. And then after that, it trails off. So I definitely want to play... Thank you for the cheese, Crit. That is definitely what I'm trying to play today. I'm definitely going to do Donkey Kong, and I'm definitely going to do Pokemon, and I'll see what other games I have, so that we can take a look and see what other games we can play on a Super Game Boy. Huh. Cool. So, first thing we're doing, just to let you guys know, I am currently playing... Oh, I forgot to set my phone up as a camera. Give me a second, and I will do that right now. Okay. Sorry, you're seeing the seams come undone, I guess. Well, you can't really see it. So what I'm doing right now is I have my phone facing down, so that... Actually, I probably shouldn't even do it that way. I should probably just have my phone ready to go instead of facing down, so that you can just see. Because my desk is a mess right now. My desk is a mess. And my Super Nintendo isn't even on my desk. I was gonna move it, but there are not enough outlets for me to use right now with the Super Nintendo when I move it over here, so I have to just keep it over there. But what you're looking right now is a live feed from my Super Nintendo. I just have to turn this on. And it's not, there it is, and it's connecting. And as you can see, this is a live feed. Your mess is also a desk, yes. I specifically have a mess, and it is my desk. All right, cool. So let's switch over to the game view. Everyone say hi to my Super Game Boy. I'm actually going to keep playing music. No, I'm not going to keep playing music. I'm just going to leave it raw. And so all I've done with the RetroTINK 4K is turn it on and set the input for my Super Nintendo, which is running through the VGA port. So here it is, RGBS. And I already go through this in my... Oh, the screen is going to be cut off because I just want to show like the sort of Super Nintendo, Super Game Boy screen. But I'm going to talk you through everything that I do so that you don't really miss it, especially because the things that are up here are going to block the RetroTINK menu anyway. All right, so Super Nintendo. It's an analog console. I'm currently connecting it through RGB. The Rock Hold Taker, thank you so much for the Prime subscription. Listen, I always appreciate it when people use their Prime subscription. You only get one a month. So people who use it really put their trust in me, and I hope that I am able to meet your trust in me, and I appreciate the hype. You do also get access to the Mr. Morrow emotes. I'm a huge fan of the substitute from Pokemon. So as Jared Critbound has shown off, these are the substitute emotes, and there's a couple of them. He has a little beard just like I do, and there are also a couple of emotes that are Link from Link's Awakening, which are actually captured from directly from the game. Like I just blew it up on a RetroTINK 4K and I took the picture and then I used that as an emote. Those are actually really good too. I do use those a lot myself. So there's that. Okay. The quality of, Jared, you said the quality looks nice. Is it the quality of the Game Boy or the quality of the emotes? So yeah, let's go into it. I already go through this in the videos that I talk about capturing the emotes. Yeah, the emotes are like a direct capture, and because the emotes are like a small portion of an even smaller Game Boy screen, it blows up very nicely on Twitch. All right, but like I said, I talk about this already. There are certain things that you need to do with the RetroTINK 4K to get the Super Nintendo to look really sharp. So the first thing you do is you go into the ADC menu by pressing the ADC button on the remote for the RetroTINK 4K, and that brings you to the RGB ADC setup, which is the analog to digital conversion menu. I wanted to say capture, but it's a conversion, not a capture. So in the RetroTINK documentation and in the RetroTINK documentation and in the video, I say use a samples per line of 3410 and a decimation factor of 10. Sorry, not 8, it's 10. But that is because it is in line with a different feature of the RetroTINK 4K, which is like an automatic sampling detection. If you didn't know, the Super Nintendo uses 3 different resolutions. So the RetroTINK can automatically switch between those 3 resolutions, but you have to enable the feature. But most Super Nintendo games are one single resolution of they're a single resolution of 256 by 224, and you almost never have to worry about what resolution you're using exactly. So for the most part, you can just do this manually instead of using the auto detection, and that allows you to use a slightly larger sample rate and a slightly larger decimation factor, which doesn't necessarily make the picture sharper. What it does is it will just allow you to get more more samples with which to use. With which to take the sharpest picture from. So this is basically as sharp as the Super Nintendo gets. So this is as sharp as the Super Nintendo gets. What I'm gonna do is, if you noticed, the category of the stream is called the 240p test suite. The 240p test suite is a thing that is software that's used and exists on as many consoles as you can think of, except for the PS2. That's the only one it doesn't exist for, and the Xbox. But essentially, the 240p test suite is available on as many consoles as possible. Let me actually get my copy of the 240p test suite. So here you go. This is what the Dreamcast version looks like. It's very nice. It's very pretty. And the 240p test suite, what it does is it allows you to calibrate displays. Oh yeah, this is actually a new game, like a new inbox game. I bought it not too long ago. I was going to use it to calibrate a Dreamcast, but the Dreamcast doesn't read discs, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to just deal with it. Like I have to mod the Dreamcast so that it can load games from an SD card, but that's way down the line. All right. But as you can see, I have the 240p test suite loaded up. And sorry, this is 144, but it's from the same guys. And like I said, it lets you calibrate displays on it. Normally you would use it to calibrate a CRT like I have over here off screen. But what you do is you can use this to very easily calibrate the RetroTINK 4K. And that's what we're going to do in a second. So to calibrate it, very simple. You can load a color test, and let me see. Color bars on gray, color bleed, chroma crosstalk. No, this isn't the one. I'm looking for solid screen, and here it is. It's white. So the numbers for white are pumped up as high as they can go. And what you want to do at this point is press the gain button on the RetroTINK 4K, and that's going to activate auto gain. And what that does is it puts white. So what'll happen is that the Super Nintendo will output white, but maybe it'll put it out too bright or too dark, but you know it's supposed to be pure white. And what this does is it will calibrate it so that it is as close to pure white as possible. You may need to increase it a few more ticks, but that's fine. That's it. Yeah, once you do that, everything is as bright as it needs to be, and all of the colors when you use RGB are completely calibrated. So right now, white is set to 255, 255, 255, and that's all you need for that. The next thing you want is you want this grid. Now, this grid is going to help you with the sharpness calibration. Again, once you set all of these numbers up, like this 4092 and this 12, all you need to do on the RetroTINK is hit the phase button. And even if you can hit it a few times if you'd like, but once you do that, the game is as sharp as can be. This is basically as sharp as it's supposed to be for the Super Nintendo. And the last thing that I'm going to do is, well, not the last thing, but one of the last things I'm going to do is set the aspect correction to 1:1, and that gives you square pixels, and that's exactly what you want for Game Boy. So this is essentially a 9 times multiplication of a Game Boy game to your screen. So this, what I'm looking at on my screen here, is a 9 times scale of the Super Nintendo and a 9 times scale of the Game Boy. So I'm actually doing specifically Super Nintendo because I don't want to take a picture of a Game Boy game, specifically because I noticed I do want to take it through analog, but when I did the Super Nintendo game, when I took a picture of the Super Nintendo game on the Super Nintendo and I compared it to what was on the analog pocket, people very easily were able to find out, very easily found out which game was the analog one and which game was the digital one. But that's because the game that I was playing was using huge swaths of solid colors, which is Super Mario World. The Game Boy game is probably going to be a little easier to find out this time, but we will see. And if you want to know specifically, so one of the reasons I'm doing Super Game Boy is that the Game Boy screen itself is going to be smaller. Inside of it, it's only going to be a 9x scale, and it's going to be surrounded by the Super Game Boy background. If you didn't know, when you play a game on the Super Game Boy, it will put a nice little border around it so that it looks really nice. So right now, this is as calibrated as can be. This is as sharp as the Super Nintendo is ever going to look. And this is completely centered right now. There is completely centered. So when I take a screenshot of this, it is going to be absolutely perfect. But let's take a look and see. Can we exit? No. I'm going to go ahead and reset this, and we're going to go ahead and load up. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this as a profile, because that's what you're supposed to do when you achieve something like this. Hey, Dan. How are you? You came here for the game. You don't see nobody hunting humans. You don't see nobody hunting humans. I mean, do you hunt people in the 240p test suite? No, I don't hunt humans either. So this is specifically for testing 240p things. I do call it the greatest game, because what else are you supposed to do with your consoles except calibrate them over and over again, especially for comparison. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset this so that I can boot up Donkey Kong. We're ready to boot up Donkey Kong. And I am using an EverDrive for this. I do have a bunch of Game Boy games physically, but I don't have Donkey Kong, for example, and I no longer have a copy of Link's Awakening. So I do want to use Donkey Kong for sure, because I think that's like one of the most I don't have that, but I want to use it. It's like one of the most Game Boy games ever. Dan, I have a copy of the 240p test suite for Dreamcast, and I wish I could use it to calibrate my Dreamcast and make a video for that, but I can't. All right, so we save this as a profile. We don't need to do anything else with this right now. Let's load up Donkey Kong. Oh, no, go back. All right, Game Boy games, and it's literally the first game, Donkey Kong. And there's a reason I wanted to use Donkey Kong, and that is because you're going to see that the background changes to an arcade machine for Donkey Kong. And it's perfect. It fits perfectly here. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the screenshot feature on my Stream Deck. All right, let's see if this actually saved, because if it did not save, I might cry. Has anyone here played Donkey Kong for the Game Boy? That is my question for you guys. Have you played Donkey Kong for the Game Boy? Okay. So it did not work, and that's okay. Oh no, this is the recording for my stream. Give me 1 second. I guess the answer is plainly that it didn't work. That's fine. That is fine. I can just click here, and you still hear me, and I can screenshot the source. There is no problem with that. And I'm back. That's fine. If you've never played Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, this is not just a port of the original Donkey Kong for arcades. The funniest thing about this is that there are 99 stages, or there are, I don't know how many, I think it's 100 stages. There are 100 stages here, and it goes beyond, way, way beyond like what the original Donkey Kong did. And this is, you don't know this, but this is basically where moves, like there are moves here that have influenced Mario since. Just for example, you know how Mario has the side jump, where he jumps, you go forward and then you go back and then press the, and then you press the jump button, and I died. That move comes from this game, and I died. This is also the same game that is the precursor to Mario vs. Donkey Kong. So all of those Mario vs. Donkey Kong games and all of the Mario games that have the little toy Marios in it, that is where this comes from. Let me not touch the... nope, not touch the fire. That's fine. I suck at this game. I shouldn't be playing too long anyway. Let me just do this. Let me just do these 4 stages, and then I'll make my way. Shouldn't have done that. It wasn't right before Mario 64. From my understanding, this came out like way before Mario 64. But can I kill this? Can I kill it? Yes. Great. This didn't come out like right. Yeah, it's 1994. So definitely between Mario World and Mario 64, but it did, like I said, it did influence that. You also have this move here, which is not, doesn't really return, but there is just more control over Mario than usual, and you can do stuff like that. Like, there's so much stuff you can do. It is also right before Mario RPG. You're right. But Mario RPG was made by Square. So there is that. Sorry, I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible. So you go through, you do this, and you think, okay, cool, just like the arcade, I have to do this again. However, like I said, it does go beyond that. Donkey Kong takes... Oh, hi, Megan. Donkey Kong takes... You just got off your couch and you're here now. I'm playing Donkey Kong. You should play this if you have it. So as soon as you beat the original Donkey Kong levels, Donkey Kong... the game evolves and you go straight to the building. And every single cutscene you have here teaches you how to do something new. So if you have a door with a keyhole in it, the name of the game is Donkey Kong. People call it Donkey Kong for Game Boy or Donkey Kong 1994. But yeah, as soon as you do the old levels, you evolve and it teaches you, if you see a door, get a key, or it'll do other stuff as well. Let me see, can I do this right now? Everyone, go give Megan a follow. There you go. Nice little shout out for Megan. Jared, I think your username is great. Sorry, and by the way, Crit's name is Jared. And he says it, and it's okay for me to call him that. So he did decide to dox himself. I guess dox himself might be the word. And there's a slot machine game. I got 2 lives. You could do... Megan says the slot machines are like Pokemon. You were addicted to the gambling today. I do remember that. The Rock Hole Taker. Is it okay for him to call Critbound Jared? That's up to Critbound. But he does identify himself as Jared on his streams. He just changed his username recently, and he says that one of the things he said was he liked calling himself Jared. So yeah, this is what this looks like. When you play this on a Super Game Boy, and this is perfectly calibrated. There are If it is something that you want to, if you something that you want to play, you should definitely try playing this on the Super Game Boy. The only difference is, besides the fact that it's color and it has the arcade machine, is that you'll hear this. Let me turn this up. Listen for Pauline, because Pauline very clearly says help in like just voice acting quality, I guess. So if you heard that, that's that's the game. All right. What game should I play next? You know what? I'm going to play Link's Awakening next. Link's Awakening is next. And I am, like I said, I am playing this on my EverDrive. This makes me... Thank you for the Link's Awakening emotes. This is... I am playing this on an EverDrive. I'm not trying to play with different cards today. Let me see. Legend of Zelda. Should I use the Game Boy version or should I use the Game Boy Advance version? Not the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Color version. I'm going to go back and use the Game Boy Color version instead because it is compatible. Here it is. Legend of Zelda, Legend of Zelda, The Link's Awakening. Remember, kids, when you're ordering, when you're ordering things, is it a clear? It's a clear case. My Super Game Boy or the, or my EverDrive. So if you notice, again, one of the reasons I'm using the Super Game Boy is because it has these beautiful borders on it. Just went ahead and changed itself automatically. So there's that. Let me see. I have... Megan, can you tell the difference between these two files? I will give you one hint. If Megan is still here, there is one difference between these two. And this is literally the difference, is that I committed crime. I committed crime. This is why I died once. Link's Awakening... Oh, you mean the opening when you... Let me see, can I do this? No, I can't. Nope. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, you can change palettes and stuff on the Super Game Boy, but I'm not doing that right now. Sorry, Megan, I did commit crime. Oh, I need to do these four? Yeah. Yeah, oh, this is a good opening. This is a good opening. Yeah, so the only problem with the Super Game Boy version, playing Link's Awakening DX on the Super Game Boy, is that you don't get color the same way you would elsewhere. And that's unfortunate. And that's okay. Like, you sacrifice the color for... you sacrifice the color for the border. Actually, here's a good question. Should I... Well, here's going to be a learning moment here. Should I turn on the scan lines? I'm currently playing, like I said, I'm currently playing this. It looks really good. I can do this with scan lines, actually. Should I take the screenshots with scan lines or without scan lines? I suggest, if you want me to play with scan lines, I suggest that you put this on full screen. All right, so on the RetroTINK 4K, very simple for scan lines, especially for content that's this sharp. This is specifically because the aspect correction is 1:1, which means that the pixels are square, just like on a Game Boy. So what we're gonna do is we are going down to the scanline menu, and we are going to turn on the function, and we're gonna set that to mono 1. So I don't know if you look. It looks terrible on my preview screen. It looks fine for me on my monitor, which I'm looking at, but it looks terrible in my preview screen. Now let me see what this looks like if I full screen this. It does not look great. It still doesn't look great. But I know that if I took a screenshot of this, it would work. Yeah, so unfortunately, this is what happens when you... Here, I will show you exactly what it is that I am talking about. I'm going to reset this game reset the scaling for this. If you full screen it, you should see it better. Like it looks like the pixels are surrounded by regular old squares. However, because I'm streaming, I have to do this. So it's not gonna look great. Yeah, no, it looks, if you have to put it full screen, and like so many, I tell so many people not to use scan lines. Sorry, there you go. I tell so many people not to use scan lines when they are streaming, because there are so many factors. Even when you're playing like this and you have the Game Boy blown up as much as possible, there are so many factors that go into the scan line generation and streaming that all of those things have to line up for you to be able to get an accurate picture of the scan lines on stream. And even then, you can't control if a person is looking at it on their phone or if a person is looking at it on their TV. And you also cannot control whether a person is looking at it full screen or large. Does OBS capture mess up scan lines? So, capture, do you mean like for streaming or just like taking a screenshot? Because when you see me go to this screen, for example, I can take the screenshot with this because my OBS is accurately capturing this at 4K. So when I take a screenshot of this, it takes an accurate screenshot of it. But for streaming, this is exactly what it looks like on my screen. Like whatever you are seeing, you're seeing it messed up. It is looking messed up on my screen. Even if I project this as a full screen projection, it does not look correct. All right, I'm gonna turn this off because I am unhappy with this. Do not like it. All right, cool. And I'm gonna set this back one. No, this is censored again. So, yeah. I think what I'm gonna do for the screenshot is I am going to go. Oh wait, did I do it here? I'll take a look at the album. Let me see what pictures I have. I think it's picture number 7 that I want, but we'll see. Is it 6? No. This is literally where my run emote comes from. That's where this emote comes from. I took it on a Game Boy player instead of a Super Game Boy, though. Let's see. Is it this one? Nope. Oh, no. Look. Nope. So if you've played Link's Awakening, we are just going through memory lane here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the picture that I want is number 7. So I am going to... Let's try the second save file, because I'm pretty sure that I committed crime, and that's why I have low health. So let's make our way to the picture guy. I hope you all are enjoying Link's Awakening. Let's switch over to the Rock's Feather first. And we're going to make our way back to the guy who takes photographs and see if we can see picture number 7. Camera guy. The Travels of Thief. Do you want to look at your album? Look. Yeah, it's picture 7. Okay. Here it is. This is the picture. This is the photographic evidence that Link commits crimes. Let's go ahead and take a picture of that. Okay. Problem is, I'm probably not going to get this far in the analog pocket. Actually, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do. I might be able to just move a save file over. So let's do that. Do you guys have any other questions about Link's Awakening on the Super Game Boy before I do anything else? If you're just joining me, by the way, I'm Mr. Morrow. I'm a retro gaming enthusiast who loves to compare digital versus analog. If you've been on my social media recently, let's you can find me on TikTok, Twitter, TikTok as well. You can find me on Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky. What I do is I post these pictures up and I ask you which one of these is the digital one and which one of these is the audio one. Today, I am taking some time to take pictures of Super Game Boy. I'm going to post that up next week. Today I did, yesterday I posted up PS1 on a PS2 analog versus PlayStation TV, the same game, the scene as close as possible. And last week I did Super Mario World. And the funny thing is that by large, the community picked. I asked the community which of these pictures is the analog picture and which of these pictures is the HDMI picture, and both times, by large, the community picked the wrong picture. So I put up a picture of Super Mario World, and the picture of Super Mario World was the Super Nintendo capture, just like I'm doing today. Let me show myself. Just like I'm doing today was a Super Nintendo capture, and that capture, it was a Super Nintendo capture just like here. And then the next thing I did was take a picture from the Super Nintendo Mini, which is the mini console. I'll take it out and show you. Here it is, Nintendo's little mini console. I took a picture of Super Mario World, and people thought that the Super Nintendo, the authentic Super Nintendo picture was the HDMI digital picture, and that this was the analog one. This is a little tricky though, because this injects digital noise to the picture, so people thought that was the analog one for that specific reason. But so I did bamboozle last week, but this week there were no tricks, and people still got it wrong. And I think you should definitely tune into those and vote. You should definitely. Oh, did you play Earthbound on your Super NES Mini? I have a story about this, but I'll tell you in a second. So you should definitely, if you see those polls, you should definitely vote, even if you guess. And you should definitely, because look, you only have a 50% chance of being right or wrong. So it could be either one. The purpose of this is to have fun, so definitely just vote and have fun. I promise that I'm not here trying to make fun of people. I think it's just like a retro enthusiast learning moment where you can learn something about the way the images are drawn. So that's like the point of these things. But the ultimately what I want to show is that we are at a point with these captures, even it doesn't have to be the RetroTINK 4K. You can use the 5X and even the 2X the models if you'd like. We're at a point where the analog capture using these devices is so good and so sharp that you no longer have to worry about you don't have to worry about it for certain things, because there are certain Super Nintendo models that don't look this sharp. For example, I'm using a very sharp Super Nintendo model on purpose to make it as difficult as possible to guess which is digital and which is analog. My point is that I just want people to have fun with this. I want people to engage with it. It's just something cool to look at and something cool to think about. And I'll always try to talk to you. I tell people what the difference is after everyone votes. So I did Final Fantasy VII yesterday, and people thought the differences are so minute that people thought that the analog version was the digital version, and it was instead of last time the Super Nintendo version was like a overwhelmingly everyone thought the Super Nintendo mini picture was the analog one, and that was on purpose again. But this time it was closer to 50-50. More people did vote for to say that the analog one was the digital one. However, like I said, it was closer to 50-50. So it's harder to see these things, especially when your games are full of pixels. If your games are full of pixels, as opposed to this, which is full of large swaths of individual colors, then it's going to be very difficult to pick that. So I want people to have fun with it. This might be easier than this week's. All right, so here's Link's Awakening. I did that. Let's, just in case, I do want to, I'll take the save file out of this and move it over. So yeah, that was Link's Awakening. I want to do Pokemon. But the question is, do I do Pokemon Yellow and move the save files over now, or do I start a new game? Should I start a new game? Let's start a new game for Pokemon, just so that we can make it a little interesting. And I'm gonna do Pokemon Yellow. I'm gonna do Pokemon Yellow. All right, just thinking for a second. New game. Actually, should I do Yellow or should I do what Pokemon game do I have here? I have Red version. Should I put up Red version and put up a poll for the starter, or should I just put up Yellow version and we can do Pikachu? What do you guys think? Or should I do a poll and then a poll? But before we look at another game, I do want to do 4 games. So I did Donkey Kong, I did Link's Awakening, and I'm going to do Pokemon. These are the games that I have. Should I use something else? Is the question. Maybe I'll do Samus Returns. Maybe I can do some of these Pokemon games. Sorry, not Samus Returns, Return of Samus. Or should I do Street Fighter? Should I go in and do Street Fighter? That would be interesting. Or should I do Tetris? Just everyone does Tetris have let's find out if Tetris has a special border. Because not every game has a special border, is the thing. I do want to use as many games as possible that have special borders. And the answer is no, it doesn't. That's unfortunate. All right. All right, so we're gonna do Pokemon Yellow now. Especially because, like I said, Pokemon Yellow has a special border on it. And there are changes. Oh, I'm a butt. I'm gonna let the opening play. There you go. Oh, everyone loves Pokemon Yellow. There's no doubt. Everyone loves Pokemon Yellow. The only time you ever got a Machamp? Yeah, because I just remembered this today. You can trade a Cubone for a Machoke, and that Machoke evolves into a Machamp. How ridiculous is it to get a surfing Pikachu in this game, by the way? Like, no one remembers how difficult it is to legitimately get a surfing Pikachu, and it's because you have to, like, get into end game of Pokemon Stadium to be able to get one. It is ridiculous. All right, we're gonna start a new game. Hello there, welcome to the world of Pokemon. My name is Oak. People call me the Pokemon Professor. This world is inhabited by creatures called Pokemon. For some people, Pokemon are pets. Others use them for fights. Myself, I study Pokemon as a profession. First, what is your name? My name is... I'm gonna call myself Ash. Right, so your name is Ash. This is my grandson. He's been your rival since you were a baby. What's his name again? I'm gonna call him Gary. We're not gonna be here for long. You use them to test your stand-up comedy on? Always a tough crowd. Ash, your very own Pokemon legend is about to unfold. A world of dreams and adventures with Pokemon awaits. Let's go. Alright, like I said, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Let's make our way. Oh, hey, wait, don't go out. That was close. Wild Pokemon live in tall grass. And you get attacked. Great, we're here. That's fine. Oh, that's a rough sprite. That's very bright. Like, the contrast is... There's so little contrast, or the saturation is so high. Because it's just yellow. Woo. A Pokemon can appear anytime in tall grass. You need your own Pokemon for your protection? I know. Here, come with me. He's fed up with waiting. Gary, you're here already. I said for you to come by later. Whatever. Look, Ash, do you see that ball? There's only one Pokeball, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna get this Pokemon. And then Gary just pushes you. No way, Ash, I want this Pokemon. Blah, 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 do what you want. Gary, what are you doing? Grant, I want this one, but oh, whatever. All right, then that Pokemon is yours. I was going to give you one anyway. Ash, come over here. Ash, this is the Pokemon I caught earlier. You can have it. I caught it in the wild, and it's not tame yet. Ash received the Pikachu. Yay. Do you want to give Pikachu a nickname to Pikachu? No. Okay. Here's going to be the screenshot. This is it. We are going to take a screenshot of this screen. And that is it for Pikachu. That is it for Pokemon Yellow. Yeah, I had a story about the Super Nintendo Mini. Essentially, my story is that, like, you know how difficult it was to get the Super Nintendo Mini. I ended up getting like 8 of them to give away as presents to friends of mine throughout that like 6-month period. And this is like my last one. And at this point, like, this is just the fancy paperweight for me, because I have an EverDrive for my Super Nintendo, and I have a bunch of Super Nintendo games. Oh, thank you for the Hydrate Crit Band. Cheers. Thank you. Because I have all the games I could want to play, this is essentially just the paperweight for me. I did mod it to play more games, but I only used it for Super Nintendo games. The coolest thing that has happened because of the Super Nintendo Classic Mini is that I have the controllers, and I can use those controllers with the Wiimote to play Super Nintendo games on the Wii. That's probably the coolest thing that I have regarding that. Like, that's the coolest thing that I like about that. Alright, so we did that. I think, let's see if Metroid Samus Returns has a border for Super Game Boy. Because I think it doesn't, but let's see. The answer to that is no, it does not. This is the 4th game, so should I reset it and use the regular Super Game Boy? I can use the regular Super Game Boy one. That'll be fine. Regular Super Game Boy should get some love. There you go. There you go. So I've never actually played this version of Return of Samus. I have only played the 3DS version of Return of Samus. It's very comfy. Yeah, it's I don't know. I personally don't like the red, this personal aesthetic, but hey. And if you didn't know, on the Super Game Boy, you can change the palettes. I do personally have a palette that I use to make I do have a palette that I personally use to make this look as close as possible to the original Game Boy palette. So let me take a look, because I can actually pull that up. You can go back and let me see, is it this one? Yes. You can manually set the colors using this, and there's a whole password system for it and everything. All right. Let's see. I'm typing it in as I go, but it's 1552 1923 6 2. Okay, so this, I whiffed on the middle one. Up 1 9 2 3. Thank you. So using a bunch of different effects and stuff. Here, let's go back. Using a bunch of different effects, you can take this and get this to, and this is specifically using the RetroTINK 4K. You can, let me see if I can try to get this to work. This is called a mask effect. And again, never use this on stream. Never use your scanline effects on stream, but we're gonna do our best. Which is it that I use? Gray 15X. Okay. Oh, so you need I forgot about one important thing. This is 46, and this is 50. There you go. I think that's it. Yeah, so this is a perfect 15 times scale of the this is a perfect 15 times scale of the Game Boy that you're looking at. And with this, full screen it, by the way. You want to full screen this. Is any of this written anywhere? Yes, I do have a video for it up on YouTube. Again, check my socials. This is, if you go on my channel, there is a playlist called the RetroTINK 4K tutorials. And I go through how to enable this. And this works on, thank you for the socials, Jared. And if you check the RetroTINK 4K wiki, let me pull up Chrome and hope it doesn't destroy my stream. Let me know if everything is going okay. I'm also closing a million of these tabs. So this particular thing here is not on the wiki. Like getting this look is not particularly on the wiki, but there's the wiki. Definitely check that out if you want to know more about the RetroTINK 4K and everything that it's capable of. And if you already have one and you just want your consoles to look as good as possible, go into the system-specific settings page, and that'll tell you everything you need to know to get it. Yeah, Giant Metroid. Everything you need to know to... everything you need to know to get your consoles ready for use with... doing this for the RetroTINK 4K. Like, this is the same things I talk about regarding the ADC menu and everything is already on the wiki and it's on my videos. However, I will also say, you don't have to follow any of that. You don't have to follow any of that because, hopefully, this is included in mine. However, these are included. Let me see if it's here. Okay. There are Super Game Boy profiles, and the RetroTINK 4K is very good. Is very good at this because people from the community have submitted profiles, and the list of profiles is updated on a periodic basis. But essentially, what you can do is enable the Super Game Boy profile, and it gets you most of the way there. And people have shared. Let's put this so that you can see it normally again, because the scan lines are off. So yeah, like this, just as an example, this is already on the this is already on the RetroTINK 4K. It blows up the screen so that the Game Boy screen fills up the full amount. Here, and on my stream specifically, the borders are cropped, but you can still see the sides of it. So when you're playing a Super Game Boy game, it looks, yeah. Is that profile different from what you're looking at right now? Most likely, because my profiles are my personal profiles that I use, which are very, very specific for use with the RetroTINK 4K. I do keep a repository of everything because I'm the one who like updates the repository, so I do keep a copy of it. Let's take a look. I'm looking through my Microsoft Windows folders right now. I'm gonna go to Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and then okay. Someone named Bill Gonzo submitted Super Game Boy profiles, and he made some profiles using the Game Boy Color and DMG. Yeah, he has a DMG profile that's used to... Sorry, he does have a DMG profile, so that's something that you can use as a starting point to get that looking this way. Let me see. Okay, so there is no particular RGBS Super Game Boy version. Let me see if Wobbling Pixels did one, though. Super Famicom. This is not Super Game Boy, Razor Sharp. Super Game Boy, Razor Sharp. Okay, so he did not do that. I go over how to do that in the video, by the way. I'm not trying to, like, be... I'm not trying to sound... Sorry, I'm not trying to come off as, like, flippant or just, like, leave this for later. But these are things that are documented, and there are profiles for these things. So let's... I could definitely submit that later as well. I'll submit that later just so that people can see that. I don't like doing that with the Super Game Boy profiles, particularly because with the scan lines, it affects everything, not just the. It doesn't just affect the. Sorry, I'm having a moment. It does not just affect the screen inside the borders. It affects everything. So everything is going to look like it has scan lines. So you have to choose between getting the game to look a certain way versus getting the game to look another way. All right, let me see. I did take a picture. I did take a screenshot of. Update, please. Open. All right, so I did take a screenshot of Super Metroid. So we did do 4 games. Yeah, if you want to do that, the best way is to load up. I do go over how to do it in the video, and I have submitted a few things, but I specifically did it for Game Boy Player because Bill Gonzo did it for Analog Pocket. But you can essentially what you want to do is you want a grayscale of the game. So instead of making it these colors, what you can do is look for the, oh, you don't need this. This is not it. That's for like manually putting in your palette. Here, 2H gives you grayscale, and then you can follow Bill Gonzo's instructions, and that is on the SD card. For the newer SD card images, those instructions are there. And you can just load a profile, and it will get it to look exactly how you want it to look. All right. Yeah, so both of our profiles enable green with the scan lines. Mine uses the colors and puts a gray mask over it. You use gray and it puts a color mask over it. It's very interesting. It is actually very interesting. Let's do I have Bill Gonzo's profiles here? Let's take a look. I'll show you when I put it on the Pocket, because it doesn't work with the Super Game Boy. The Super Game Boy, I tend to leave it without the effects only because I love having the borders, and having those effects messes with the colors. All right, so we did Super Metroid. We have 4 games now. No, I'm not gonna reset. Yeah, I'm gonna reset this so that I have Super Metroid. I'm sorry, not Super. I keep saying Super Metroid. Metroid 2. I'm gonna put that on with the color it was before. Oh, Megan. I know the feeling. Oh, it's still gray. All right, let's see if we can find the color this was before. Was it this one? Was it this one? It was this one. It was 4G. All right, I'm actually gonna leave this. And I'm gonna plug in my Pocket now. Here's my Analog Pocket. And first thing I need to do is... I'll see you later, Megan. I'm going to put this on HDMI, and it's going to automatically load my Analog Pocket. It is showing up as 1080p, which is great. And I'm going to use my FPGA cores. And I'm going to start with Metroid 2, Return of Samus. So, just like I did with the Super Game Boy on the Super Nintendo, I'm going to walk through showing you. It's a lot louder. That's fine. I'm going to show you how to get the same picture from this. As you can see, it's a little wider. I'm going to get the same picture as the Super Game Boy version. I can switch between them by just selecting a different input. Give it a second. Oh, this is RGSB. I made a mistake. So I'm gonna make sure that I get the same picture between the two, and I'm going to look at the pictures myself. This is like a sneak peek for the 2 different versions. Just as a primer, the Analog Pocket, this is essentially playing a Super Nintendo, playing a Game Boy. So with this, I do go over this previously, but I need to do this math again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a measurement of the screen. And the screen measurement is going to be important because I use some of these options elsewhere. So what I'm doing now is I'm cropping the screen so that the borders, this should be 320. Let's see. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm cropping the borders of the screen so that it meets the edges so that I can measure exactly how this is being multiplied by. Yeah, the music is great. Exactly what the factors that this is being multiplied by. It is definitely 4 in the vertical. However, I think it's 5. Yeah, it's definitely 5 in the horizontal. And this is important because I'm going to use 2 features of the RetroTINK 4K, the vertical prescale and the HDMI input decimation. And I'm going to use that to get the original 256 by 223 canvas of a Super GameBoy. Like, this is all like information that I have in my head because I've written the wiki. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the profile that I made previously for Super GameBoy. And switch to the HDMI input. And I'm going to do exactly that. So this game is stretched 5 times in the horizontal, and it is stretched 4 times in the vertical. So this is currently doing an 8 by 10. So we're very close to what the Super Game Boy looks like. So we're going to bring this back. And I'm going to show you what I mean in a second. So if you look at the menu here, right there, it's going to say 223 by 256, which is the exact proportions of the Super Game Boy. And this is what it looks like on the actual Super Nintendo. As you can see, those numbers, 223 and 256, are the same. However, as you can see, the factors are 9 by 9. But if you switch over to the Pocket, it is currently 9 by 11.25. That's not what we want. What we want is to use the freeform scaling to bring it back to exactly what it needs to be. So we're going to put this back on 9 by 9. Hey Spooky, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. Today we're messing around with the RetroTINK 4K. It's this is what I use to play my games, essentially. It lets me acquire any digital or analog signal from any of my retro consoles, and it lets me play it on my 4K screen. I don't know if you follow me on social media, but every week on Monday I am going to post a picture of a console capturing analog and a console capturing digital. And it's gonna be the same picture, and I'm gonna try to make sure that it looks as close as possible so that you guess which is the digital one and which is the analog one. And like I said, so far, people who have voted, by and large, the community has gotten it incorrect twice now. So for 2 weeks, they've gotten the wrong one. I'm gonna turn this down because I do want to switch between them over and over again, and it's a little jarring. But essentially, Here is the, so what I'm using this time is I'm using an authentic Super Nintendo to play Super Game Boy, and I'm also using an analog pocket to play the exact same game. So these are both going to be 9x9. So you tell me, I'm switching to the Super Nintendo. This is what it looks like. Or I switch to the analog pocket. You tell me which one. Like, you tell me if you can see any difference. The answer is no, because we're on Twitch. But I know what to look for when it comes to looking for the differences. However, it's difficult for other people to know as well. It might be easy for this specific screen because there are huge swaths of solid color. Let's take a screenshot of this while we're here. Oh, no, not this. The RetroTINK menu is still on this. Oh, went out for a second. Where did this go? Uh-oh. There it is. Uh-oh. Did the analog pocket screw up? We gotta start this over now. I wish I knew how to emulate. I'd love to play Shining the Holy Ark on Sega Saturn, but you don't know how to make it work. I don't know if Critbound is still here, but he has been playing Sega Saturn emulator. You guys should follow each other. I need to click here. Follow each other, and that way you can maybe talk to each other about Sega Saturn emulation. I don't have a Saturn, actually. The only Sega console that I have is the Sega Dreamcast, and the only other Sega console I had before that was the Sega Genesis Mini. And I bought Sega Genesis games so many times. Ask me how many times I've purchased Sonic 2 or Sonic 3. Like, ask me how many times I've purchased Sonic 2. And you'd be surprised for someone who doesn't own any Sega consoles. This is the... Oh, did I take a picture of this with the menu again? I'm so silly. Yeah, twice in a row I did it. All right, cool. Boom. There you go. Analog pocket, done. Let's move on to another game. Let's see what the Donkey Kong one I took was. It was... Shouldn't have done this one. I should have taken it of the title screen. I'm such a fool. I'm gonna have to go back to the... I'm gonna have to go back to the Super Game Boy, but that's fine. My Super Game Boy core on my analog pocket is not doing well. And that's okay. I don't normally play Super Nintendo on this like that anymore. Oh, because it has to load the game. There you go. Let's turn the sound back up. Would you believe that I messed up the Samus Returns screenshot again for the third time? I literally took a picture of this window instead of the actual capture, so I'm a fool. Growing pains, am I right? Alright, let's go back to M. And let it load the game. One last time. Did I get it this time? I did. Okay, great. Okay. Let's go back to the Super Game Boy on the Super Nintendo. So I can take this screenshot. I'd have to just turn this off and on again so I can get the right look on it. Let's do that. Okay, let's load up Donkey Kong on the Super Game Boy. This is also just another excuse for me to show off Donkey Kong, specifically because it has like a whole arcade machine aesthetic to it. So there's that. All right, got my picture. So let's switch back to the analog pocket. And let's load Pokemon Yellow version, and we're going to start a new game again. So we can get a nice picture of Pikachu. So if you want to know what I'm doing tonight, I can recap. I have been taking pictures of a game digitally and on analog from an authentic console. And what I've been doing is posting up a poll on social media. And the poll is essentially just asking which one is the digital one and which one is the analog one. I've been doing this for 2 weeks now, and so I'm taking more screenshots. So I've done a Super Nintendo, I've done a PlayStation, I want to do Super Game Boy, and I want to do PSP. So I think those are great ways to show this off to home consoles and to portables on your big screen. And the point is to have fun, first and foremost. But I love seeing people rack their brains about which one is digital and which one is analog. The Super Game Boy ones are probably going to be the easiest ones, only because there's a very particular quirk regarding the Super Game Boy. So there's a particular quirk regarding Super Nintendo that you should be able to tell it almost immediately. But yeah, I don't know how else to put it. Like, there's this particular quirk, and I don't want to say it until people do the poll, so that they don't use it to figure it out every single time. And it's probably only going to work for Super Game Boy. The other Super Nintendo screenshots I'm using have a very dense picture to them. So it's going to be much more difficult for Super Nintendo users to figure out which is which. I already did this on the Super Game Boy. We're just loading up Yellow. What I have to do after this, though, is since I want to do Link's Awakening, I have to move my save file over from my EverDrive over to the Super Game Boy. So we're going to see if we can do that quickly. Ash, come over here. And he went over there. Great. This is the Pokemon. I caught it in the wild and it's not tame yet. I received the Pikachu. Yay. Do you want to give a nickname to Pikachu? No. So the screenshot for Pokemon Yellow is the status screen. This looks terrible because the Pikachu is like almost blown out. But that's fine. Okay, went ahead and take a screenshot of that. I am not going to take a break because after I take this picture of Link's Awakening, I'm going to go. So let me just take a look. It is a screenshot of a picture. So we're going to turn off the analog pocket. I do have to take out the SD card. I'm going to switch over to the Super Nintendo. And I'm going to switch over to Link's Awakening and show you exactly the screenshot that I am going to take. Specifically the screenshot that I'm going to take on the Analog Pocket. Let's go to Game Boy Color because I am doing Link's Awakening DX. And if you didn't know, this is what you're currently looking at is an authentic Super Nintendo playing Link's Awakening through Super Game Boy. By the way, have you guys played Link's Awakening DX? Specifically DX. You would think they're like very, very similar, but there is like a graphical difference between them. It's nothing technical or anything. Like the trees just look different on this version versus the original. That's not it. What I'm taking a screenshot of is a picture that was taken of Link stealing from the shop in Link's Awakening. If you didn't know, you could do that. The Adventures of Thief. Which picture would you like to see? Use the control pad to select to see them, and then press the A button. So this is what I want to take a screenshot of. This is the Super Nintendo right now, but what I'm gonna do is see if I can. Oh, I need to take this out. Dang. Well, welp. There goes that idea. Just thinking for a second. All right, so never mind that. Let's just chill out for a little bit and play some jams. All right, what is this at right now? Okay, this should be fine. I'm just gonna be here messing around with some things. I have to turn the Super Nintendo off, so this little guy over here is gonna be dark. Specifically, I am taking the memory card out of my EverDrive. And I'm going to take the Link's Awakening save. Continue without scanning. All right, and then I'm going to put this on my desktop. Where did this go? Okay, so here it is. And then I am going to eject this. Wait. Gonna put this back in my EverDrive before I lose it. Would really suck if so what's happened before is I have essentially, this is like spring loaded, so you can just, you know, pop it in and take it out. I have definitely like taken this out and yeeted the memory card out from this and like across the room. So I need to be careful with that. All right, it's time for the Analog Pocket. Let me see. Supervision, Super Breakout. What is the Super Game Boy core called? Super GB. Oh, okay. So this would be in GBC, Common, L. Okay, perfect. So where do the saves go? Saves, GBC, common, L. Okay, perfect. So the great thing about Game Boy saves is that despite the fact that they are, despite the fact that they may be a different save file format, they are all actually the same. So I can very simply just move one save to the next. Fingers crossed that this actually works and I'm not a fool. We are in the home stretch of the stream today. Alright, I'm gonna put this back into my analog pocket. Let's put the game back in. Sorry, I put the game back in the Super Nintendo as well. We're gonna load it up one more time. Come on. I'm syncing my controller to it. Is it done yet? Yeah, it's done now. So yeah, I do, when I play on my Super Nintendo, I normally play on this DualShock 4 because it's Bluetooth. I have a Bluetooth adapter on my Super Nintendo. I think it's probably one of the more comfortable ways to play. The Super Nintendo controller is great. And I might be blasphemous saying, oh, play on a PlayStation controller on your Super Nintendo. But the comfort factor should not be dismissed, very honestly. You should definitely think, let's put the game up. You should definitely think to do that because, like I said, it is comfortable. All right, let's get to the point where we can get to PlayStation controllers always feel good to hold. It is true. That is also one of the reasons why I'm using a PlayStation controller because it's like comfortable. They are relatively easy to get. I wish they went on sale because they're like $60, $70 now. So annoying. Let's take a look. Which picture would you like to see? Use the control pad to select and then press the A button. Great, we are here now. We're here now. Let's switch over to, oh, I forgot to save the profile for, no, it's on already. It should be on. Yeah. Fingers crossed that the Super Game Boy save file works. Thank you, Crit, for using that. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay, this is looking perfect. This is Link's Awakening regular. I should have picked Link's Awakening DX. My mistake. Oh, there you go. I messed up. GBC, common, L. Here we go. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, guys. Okay. And it changed it. This is Link's Awakening DX, and my save file works. This is great. This is amazing. Now I can take the screenshot and then get you guys out of here. Also, this is one of my favorite Game Boy games. Hands down, this is my favorite Zelda game. I'm a huge fan of the 2D Zelda games. I feel like a contrarian sometimes when I say that. But like 2D Zelda games are my favorite, and this is the top for me. This is like peak Zelda for me. More so than Link to the Past and more so than the Oracle games. This is just like the type of games that I like to play. This is very much quintessential to that list. All right, here's the picture on the pocket. Let's take a screenshot. And again, I'm going to show you, this is what it looks like on the pocket. And this is what it looks like on an actual Super Game Boy. Something's up with my sound, and I'm not really too fond of trying to figure out what's going on right now. But yeah, here this is. And here that is. I challenge you to try to tell me which is which, honestly. Like, I honestly challenge you to tell me which is which. And this is going to be the whole thing. I am going to take 2 pictures, and I'm going to ask you which one is the original console and which one is the HDMI. And if people are savvy, they will know which one to look at. But if they are not savvy, that's fine. They will be able to understand it anyway. Where is my second? Okay, great. So all my pictures are here. We're good for today. Quick stream for me. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been here. Hope everyone had a really good time. I'm Mr. Morrow. I'm a retro gaming enthusiast who loves playing video games. I love comparing. I'm so into it that I love comparing digital consoles versus analog consoles. And I will be here in 1 week. So no, here's what you should do. First thing you should do is follow me on socials. Because every Monday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post 2 pictures. Same scene of a video game. One is going to be from an authentic analog console, and the second is going to be from a digital representation of that console. Yesterday, I did Final Fantasy VII. Next week, I am going to start with Donkey Kong for the Game Boy. So next week is Donkey Kong. I'm going to ask you guys to pick which one is the Super Nintendo and which one is the analog pocket. And I will tell you, I will go through exactly what it is that I did to get to this point. You're going to get them all wrong. And listen, it's less about doing what you can to pick which one is the correct one. The more knowledgeable you are about the way the Super Nintendo sends signals and how the analog sends signals, the easier time you will have. But honestly, it's more about just having fun and learning which is which and learning how to tell them apart. So I do want you to... It's a learning moment, basically. And what I want is for people to have fun with it and to talk to each other and to compare notes, essentially. So I'm going to post this on all of the social media that you see there: Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky. I'm going to post the pictures on those. The poll whichever you vote in, whichever one you want. And if you don't know the difference between them, guess, because they makes things more fun that way. My point is just I am trying to show people that we're at a point that if you treat your retro consoles well and you know what you're doing when it comes to the analog to digital conversion, the analog consoles or your original consoles can be indistinguishable from accurate emulation. Obviously, if we take a GameCube screen and we have the GameCube game render in 4K, it's going to look different than taking a GameCube game and then scaling that to 4K. Those look different. But I want you to take a look in 2 pictures and say, I cannot tell the difference between these two. The difference between the Super Nintendo and the difference between the Analog Pocket is so minimal. Maybe I don't need to get an Analog Pocket to play Super Nintendo games because my Super Nintendo is sitting at home or something. Like, that's the sort of thing that I want to get to, the sort of conversation that I want to lead to. But yeah, other than that, because I'm going to also do PSP, I am going to have this same sort of stream, RetroTINK 4K office hours, next week on Tuesday, God willing. And I will tell people before I start. But yeah, you can find me around this time looking through PSP games. So I have to figure out which games. One of them is definitely going to be Final Fantasy IV because I'm playing that on stream. I don't know when the next day I'm going to be back. I'm going to cross my fingers and say maybe Friday. Friday during the day, I will try to stream more Final Fantasy IV. I might do it on another day as well in the morning, but we will see where I get with that. I do have like other stuff that I'm working on right now regarding like career fairs and stuff, trying to get employment, so get a job. But this is like, I'm gonna put this. I'm using some time anyway, so I do want to hang out. I do want to hang out while we hang out. I do want to hang out while I do take these pictures and stuff because that is time that I would waste alone otherwise. All right, I know who I am going to raid. One second, actually. Okay, never mind. All right, I know exactly who I'm going to raid. I'm going to raid Chad. Chad Music is an amazing streamer from New York, from the New York area. And he is also a retro gaming enthusiast. I love the fact that he is a retro gaming enthusiast and a music enthusiast as well. So he's really great. And let's put up this raid message. I know that the raid button on my thing does not work, but I can definitely put this message up. Ignore the shout out to L-Star, but essentially this is the raid message. If you are subscribed, you can use the one with the Mr. Mora. If you are not subscribed, you can use this Dorito, the Dorito emote. Let's go ahead and say hello to Chad. I hope everyone has a great night. I will definitely be here in 1 week on Tuesday, and I will let you know if I'm going to come back on Friday. So besides that, yeah, just have a great one, guys, and have a good night. I hope you had fun looking at this RetroTINK 4K stuff. I'll see you guys later. I'm going to go to the break screen for a few seconds, and then we're going to raid out.